Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us to our weekly consciousness through the wisdom of Kabbalah, through our connection. Definitely always send that light that we reveal together, some aha moment, some inspiration. Please share it with the world. Send that light, that energy, the removal of chaos, removal of pain, and that all the wishes of our heart, that of helping the world, can be manifested. Comes this week, if you remember, we're in the 7-week process. We enter today to the 6th week. And in the 6th week, it's all about this week building your foundation. What are you made of? How powerful, how strong is your foundation? What type of fundamentals do you live or lead by? And how strong they are? What type of values you live, by? What type of certainty do you have? What type of conviction do you have? This is this week. This week is building a stronger foundation, but as well help us cleansing the weaker or the unnecessary or the weakest links as we learn. This is this week. So please pay attention to it, be intentional about it, and whatever it is that you live by, strengthen that. And if you find this weak energy or through this wisdom, please apply it to your life. This week, we're coming to, as I said before, whenever we have a leap year, right? Or when we don't have it, right? This week, we're reading 2 portions connected. It's called Behar-Bechukotai. In the mountain, Mount Sinai specifically speaks about, and Bechukotai in my rules or my laws. That's the name of these portions. But they are connected. Obviously, to indicate for us, there's a unique moment in these weeks why we need the extra assistance. Some years we don't need it, some years we do. And this is the year that we do need to read it correct, a combination of both of these portions, because for sure we need that support and energy to what the world needs, what our life needs. So first point speaks about Behar Sinai, in Mount Sinai. Now we know what's happening on Mount Sinai, and for those of us who know. For those of us who don't know, there was the biggest revelation on that mountain. But the beauty is, as soon as you start plugging in to this week's portion, you realize it doesn't even speak a second about what happened there. It speaks about what you're going to do when you get to the land of Israel. And if you're not in the land of Israel, why do I need to read about it? Because these are the law pertain to the land of Israel. How is it related to my life? Why do I need it? I live in New York, I live in some other country. Why do I need to know? Or how is it related to me? The Kabbalists explain specifically from the Zohar, this week is such an important connection to Mount Sinai. What Mount Sinai is connected? And this is it. In this week, there is an exposure to the essence of what really appeared on Mount Sinai, which is what? A connection to the source. That's what's happened. In Mount Sinai, on Mount Sinai, in those days, what we're receiving, right, is a connection to the source. Like many of us sometimes, when you, let's say you wanna drink water, right? You can drink from water that was sitting for a while, or you can go to the faucet, or you can go to the well. right? So of course, water who sits for a while, have a little bit stale type of feeling in the faucet. Maybe it's a little bit mixed, but when I go to the source, I get the pure of the pure, right? And this is what's available for us this week. Because what was revealed on Mount Sinai? The totality of the light of immortality. Chayei Netzach, an immortal life. Living forever. Which our soul do. But we somehow don't remember. Right? Do you remember what you did last time? You remember you know what you're going to do next? No. We don't have a connection to that. Second thing is, when you have a connection to the source, where the Torah was revealed, where the light of immortality was revealed, and it did reveal, therefore there is a universal law that says, En he'ader baruchani, there is no lack in spiritual matter. Once light is revealed, it's always there. Never gone. Like I share with few people, how many times happened to you before that you invested time and effort with a client and they end up leaving you. And you say, wow, that client, I invested so much time, what a waste. Nothing manifests from them. That you should not say. For your own sake, do not go to that level. Why? Light that you reveal, always there. When you think it's a waste of time, therefore you create a barrier between you and that source that you invested with that client. Let's say you dated somebody, you invested time and energy with them, and they left you. Most people will say, what a waste, what a loser. I spent time with that person. No, you are the loser if you think it was a waste. Because why? Energy never disappears. The light of immortality, the light on Mount Sinai is still there. And if you think, oh, it's happened 3,500 years ago, you miss out, you don't connect. So because we're reading about that, there is an exposure. There's an exposure this week to access a connection to the source. That's what's available right now. Why? Sometime in life, we have many, many situations. What is the real point we all want to connect? There are many situations in life that's starting or want to start in my life, but there's always sometimes a gap. It's not yet, it's not close yet. We are together, but we are not yet together. We are exclusive, but not. They are my client, but they're not. Why? There's always a gap or some kind of space. I planted the seed. There is space between the cause until the effect happening. Right? Until the result happening. I close a deal. Today we shake hands. Somehow there's a space. Right? Between where I left them in the meeting and then tomorrow, where is the money? Yes, something happened, there's a space. Right? It's not yet manifest. We were in a date, feel great, it's beautiful, what a connection. We had a drink together, then tomorrow I don't get the text. Or the text came and it doesn't really feel that warm. Right? We're all falling to doubt. Oh, what a waste, what a this, why did I do it? All kind of things like that happening. And within that space, this is where we all falling. These are the spaces that we all falling. I planned something, it's all done. And boom, it's not happening, or something I need to wait, and that's where we're falling. The Kabbalists call it, my teacher always used to speak about it, but I can see it more now than ever. It creates a vacuum that sucks you in right away. That one thing You know, imagine you're sitting with somebody and they tell you, I love you, and 2 seconds later they looking aside, or they don't pay attention to what you say. Immediately you have like, I think they're lying. Right away. And you sucked into this vacuum right away. Why? They say, I'm amazing, and then 2 seconds later, they're not that excited about me. Boom, vacuum. Right? This is this week. This week, you know, most of us, where do we fall into negative thinking, negative pattern, doubts, worries, you know, insecurity? When? It's not that we are really insecure people. It's because we sucked into a vacuum that a space was open. I will explain that more, but obviously, if a person make a connection this week to the source, I'm connected to the source. No matter what gap, space happening, I'm plugged into the source. Therefore, nothing will suck me out of where my state of mind, my certainty, my love, my positivity. Most people have a very weak certainty, very weak positivity. So the smallest space that was open, they sucked into this vacuum immediately. In Mount Sinai, now 3,500 years ago, all the barriers were lifted. All the curtains between us and the light were lifted. It's right now available. Most of us, you have to remind yourself, okay? Because this week the connection is much deeper than ever. It's a deep connection. It's not external. It's not a festivity or party or any of that. It's a deep connection to the source. Because right now, you say 3,500 years ago, the curtains were lifted. The unified connection, the singular or singularity of people relate to, of one and the light nation together with the light, was revealed. So the source is now available. What is the energy that I'm looking for? What is the connection that I'm looking for? Is the deep connection to the source that will help me remove space in my life. That is what we're working on. Removal of space in your life. You remove chaos from your life. This is as simple as that. This week, I want the strength. I'm meditating every day with what's available cosmically, with my reading, with my study, with my meditation, connection to the source, so I can help myself remove space. Space is vacuum that sucks me in right away. I need the strength to handle this space. That's the first point, the first gift of this week. The second idea that relates to that and how we want to use it in our life, it's explained that, again, I will read a verse from the Torah, it's important to connect to it. ושבתה הארץ Shabbat Lashem. This is one of the first time that we learn, and again, it's on Mount Sinai, of course, that we need to let the land rest. So, a farmer works 6 years, and in the 7th, he needs to let the land rest. Right? Need to let the land rest. Some people will ask, wait a second, if 1 year I'm not gonna work with the land, where my food's gonna come from? And he says that don't worry, in the 6 years you're gonna get twice as much for the 7th and 8th as well. Right? That's the message. Then he says, again, this is something we spoke about many, many years. I don't want to get into it. Maybe you can go to the previous or last year classes. I spoke in lengthier about it. But now I want to connect to something interesting that is mentioned over here. And look at that. This is very important when you read it literally. Veshavta haaretz, and the land will have almost like the word strike, not working. Shabbat Lashem. It will be Shabbat. Shabbat, for those of us who know what it is, to the light, to the Creator. Now, obviously, there's so many levels over here that are wrong if you look at literal way. Because first of all, why a land need to rest? Right? Is there any reason that, you know, imagine your the floor in your apartment. Oh, you need to rest. Many people walk on that. No, you never really give your apartment to rest. Rest from what? Is it working? Right? And the whole idea over here that is going deeper, right, is that first of all, I didn't know that the land need to rest. Second thing is, it says you need to give one Shabbat to Hashem, to the Creator, to God. Why is this God is so tired? He worked 6 days, now he need to rest, right? This is the almost ridiculously mentioned by people that there's a God that he worked so many years or days and now he needs to rest. 1 day of rest, give him a break. Of course, this is ridiculous to think this way. Today, I'm going to help you understand, help us understand a little bit deeper than the childish type of behavior or thoughts that there is a God who are we playing games with. Then it says that you shouldn't work on that day called Shabbat, and you should not work in that year. Because why? You are mechalel Shabbat. It's a big word in the religious world. You desecrate the Shabbat. You desecrate the land. How can you desecrate the land? You put graffiti on it? What is this? How do I do that? Or how is that I desecrate Shabbat? If Shabbat is such an elevated thing, how do I can damage such an elevated energy? Obviously it's a problem over here. But this is the lesson for us to understand. Again, it's deeper than that. I can speak for a couple of hours about it. What it's all about is a connection to the source. Us, each one of us, without a connection to the source, we falling into what I said before, space. Space is called halal. Halal is space. But if you look at the word lechalel, is to desecrate. It's the same word. Kabbalistically we learn that halal represents space, emptiness. And this is what we're speaking about, because space is only dangerous for those of us who don't know how to handle space. Space, imagine you are a friend with somebody and tells you, listen, I need space. How would you feel? You would take it immediately personal. You immediately, again, none of us, most of us, or not, I wouldn't say most of us, really cannot handle when somebody tells me I need space. Right? Give me some space. Wow. You almost like desecrate the person. Right? Think about it. And what does it mean, lechalel Shabbat, to desecrate Shabbat? Very simple, my friend. Many people think, oh, if I drive, now the Creator is upset with me. There's God who is upset when I light a fire. Absolutely not. It's very simple. When you're not connected to the energy of Shabbat, you fall into a space. And not everybody can really connect or feel strong or feel united when they are having space. Like I said before, try to, again, in Shabbat we don't experience this way because most of us are a little bit, never experience what Shabbat is all about. So therefore you don't even know what you disconnected from, right? It's very hard. But to know what it is that someone in your life telling you, I need space. Please connect to that moment for a second. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible, as practical as possible to understand that is nothing to do with like, God is upset, Shabbat, I'm driving, I'm desecrating Shabbat. Nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. In Shabbat, I'm working even harder. I have so many things to do in Shabbat, and study and connecting and people and meals and readings and a lot. What is the idea is, when you're missing a connection to the source, you're falling into space. Space can bring feeling of lost. Space can create in our life feeling of kind of like like nothing, flavorless. Space have the power to really make things manipulated. Space have within it the ability to create fears and doubts and worries. What is Shabbat? It's a connection to the source. When I keep my connection to this reality the same way, I'm not pausing and having, because that's what he says. He says, V'shavta haaretz Shabbat Lashem. What does it mean? It's from above that the Creator give us one day. For the Creator? No, the Creator doesn't need the Shabbat. It's for us. He's been giving us a free gift every week, free gift to plug into the source that was open 3,500 years ago in Mount Sinai. That's why in Shabbat we have what we call a connection to the Torah. We're reading from the Torah. We're making a connection to the source. Not to fall into the gap, because there is a gap. For those of us who are not plugging into Shabbat and understand what is the gift of Shabbat, and I'm not saying you're fully in and all of that, but do something different than the weekly energy. Why? Because in Shabbat it tells you, the Creator, Shavta Haaretz, I put everything else in the hand of the opponent. And he is the master of space. And I took away Shabbat, that one day, that 24 hours, to plug it in, to give you guys the ability to connect to the source. So it will guide you throughout the week. Imagine life without a single worry in your mind and in your heart. Imagine for a second life, I'm worried about nothing. Not in a crazy way, but like peace. I'm not worried. Right? What would you have? You have certainty. If you have no worries, you have absolute certainty. You have no worry to start any business, to go into any relationship. You have no worry to do anything. You have absolute trust, absolute certainty, absolute conviction. Take away the worries. What is worries? Worries is the best friend with doubt. You worry it's not going to happen, then you, again, doubt and worry is the same friends. Every weekend, every Shabbat, and that's what he tells you. He tells us the secret of the Shabbat. Because in that moment, Yashuv ish la'achuzato, each one of us go back to its source. And when you bring something back to its source, what's happening? It rejuvenate, it renewed, it go back to its original form. It's go to become the most efficient. You know, it's like I don't know. So many examples. I can tell you. Even my dog, right? Sometimes I don't have time to shower my dog and everything. But let's say every couple of weeks you take him to the groomer, right? And the dog comes back, right? He goes in, go back to the source, and come back fresh and clean and happy and all great, right? That's what's happening. We, throughout the week, dealing with Satan, with the negative force, we don't even pay attention to what we're struggling with. Come Shabbat, tells you and give you, and now I'm going to tell you a secret, that you want to try it at least for your own good. At least if you hear, if you listen to this, please try it. Imagine this week, you are dealing with some kind of business affair. Or you want to move, or you want to change your career, or you are in the middle or in the midst of something, of a project or whatever it is. So this week we tried to close a deal, it didn't work. Something that, okay, let's try next week. No. Comes Shabbat, and take all what you've done this week and take it to its source. Why and what are the prerequisites? You have to let go of it. So the Shabbat can take it and take it to its source and bring it back to you Sunday, Monday, fixed already. I will say it again. Sometimes there are things that are not coming together, not working out. This doesn't work, that doesn't work. And we're trying, and I'm going to sit on it throughout the weekend on these documents. I'm gonna sit down, I'm going to do all my work this weekend, and then I'll be ready for Monday. And maybe you do. But chances are, if you leave it Friday, you let go of it. You don't think about it. You don't talk about it. You don't deal with that. A lot of religious people, they say, oh, you should not talk about business and money in Shabbat. Or you should not, And it's really frustrating. Why? What's the point? Oh, he's desecrating the Shabbat. Nonsense. What is about? You know what it's about? It's about that tells you that Shabbat wanted to fix it to you. You need to let go, connect to the source, and the source will fix it. That's what it's about. That's why you don't want to be busy with business or with anything that you worry about throughout the week. Let Shabbat fix it. That's what he's telling you. Yashuv, each one of us will go back to its source. Let go. Don't think about it. Don't talk about it. And it will go back to its original state, to where it needs to be, which is manifesting light, sharing, helping, whatever it is that project or the situation meant to do. Let problem solve themselves. You know what's the most difficult part in problems in this world? The hardest things in problems and troubles that people are in is because they don't see the magnitude of the problem or the trouble. Once a person sees the magnitude of the problem and let go of it, now the source can fix it. Most of us, for example, some people come and they ask questions. If you ask the wrong question, you're probably not going to be satisfied with the answer. Even if the answer is right for that particular question you ask. But it's not the right question in your condition. In your condition, your situation, the question should be completely different. So asking the wrong question, not seeing the magnitude of the problem, solution will never be there. But really what he says here, when people see a problem, they fall into space. Space creates chaos. Space creates loss. Imagine you have 2-3 days a space with a friend. You feel something is wrong. Try it. Try that 2-3 days somebody doesn't call you or that you used to. You feel like you're immediately different. Right? I feel space. If something is wrong, are you okay? Are you okay with me? It seems like you didn't answer and your response was not that loving. And so are we okay? Are we having space? Did you get something? Did you see your ex-girlfriend? Or what happened, you know? All kind of questions like that comes in. Why? 2-minute space. Please understand, our job this week is to close the space. And if not, get the connection to the source that no matter what space it is, I'm not falling into the vacuum. I'm not sucked into the vacuum of these cycles and craziness. The last point of this week, this beautiful point, is from the next portion called Bechukotai, the second one. It says, "Im bechukotai telechu," if you follow my rules, ubemitzvotai, im bechukotai telechu, mitzvotai tishmoru, or the other way around. But and it says chukim, laws, and mitzvot, which is also deeds or laws. With the help of the Baal Shem Tov, one of the Kabbalists that we study from, that we connected to as well, is explaining such a simple and beautiful understanding of that. It says that it's seemingly the same thing. Right? There's a law and there's a mitzvah the same way, the same thing. And he says no. It says, a rule or a law, is a spiritual action that we do without knowing what is the flavor and the intention and the kavanot of this particular action. That is rule. That is a law. Law is that we obey the law without knowing the flavor and the energy and the intention of that law. We just do what we've been told. Mitzvah is a level of a spiritual action that I know the intention and I know the kavanah, I know the meaning of that, and I understand and I connected to the flavor of this particular mitzvah, spiritual action. Now we have to understand, this is the required desire this week. That each one of us will be able to awaken the true meaning or the true connection or the flavor of every mitzvah, every spiritual action or spiritual deed that we do. Because that is an immediate connection to the source. So, If I need to give you an example in life, imagine you're driving in the street and you see a red light. You see a red light? The rules say you have to stop. Correct? Absolutely correct. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter. But you know that immediately when you drive and there's a red light and you stop, immediately you see a truck crossing the street, the cross street. What would you say? Wow, the red light protects me. Yes or no? Right? Would you say that? Wow, I'm so happy it protects me. I'm so happy I saw the red light. Wow, thank God I'm protected. Now I'm protected from this truck. No, now we are happily stopped in red light. But imagine you're in the middle of the night in a deserted town and there's one light and there's nobody in this town and you're driving and you see a red light. And now you're sitting there. You know there's no cars. You see it's like in the middle of the night, nobody moving. Right? Then over there you say, who needs red light over here? All of a sudden the red light become annoying to you. You're sitting there and you're staying in the red light, for those of us who obey the rule, right? But, we're thinking, what a waste of time. What a waste of time. Can't somebody just say, in the middle of the night, make it blink like so people will know we can go, But I'm sitting here, no cars, it doesn't protect me, I don't see the benefit. Like all of us, that we're falling into doing things. I gotta put my tefillin. Oh, I gotta go to Shabbat. Oh, I gotta do this. Oh, I gotta do this. And no. Because as soon as you continue the spiritual work without flavor, without passion, without knowing what is the connection to over here, it connects me to this, it connects me to that. It's just rules that I live by without knowing the flavor. Eventually you're going to get frustrated and eventually you're going to disobey the rule and you're going to cross the red light and you're not going to park right and you're not going to do things because you don't see the point of that. That is what's happening to us who are not growing ourselves and connecting constantly to the source. Because when you connect to the source, you have zero worry about space, about who is calling, who is not calling. Imagine live life without worries. So that, to connect to that, we have to make sure that it's within our responsibility to find the flavor in what we're doing. And not just to do because somebody told me. That's the difference between Kabbalistic way of living or religious way of living. We want to reveal what is the secret. It says that in this week's portion, Hitalachtem iti bekeri. Keri, as it says, you're going with me. If you go with me with keri, elech etchem with keri. Keri is like, it's without many details, is the word for mikre. Right? Mikre is a coincidental. But keri is also the word kar. Kar is cold. Kar, cold. When you slowly get cold or make your connection to the Creator, to your God, colder and colder, then the Creator gets colder and colder with you. That relationship eventually creates space and no warmth and no passion, and everything become a bit stale. So again, warm up your connection. Get understanding or connecting to what is the flavor in every spiritual action. So there's a beautiful secret this week. One that it's not more about what to do, but is being aware of space, who is the source of space, and what space causing us Okay? And if you understand that you need to go through a moment of space, you don't fall into vacuum, because that's immediate vacuum. So remember those things, understand those things, and you get the protection for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of the week.